Tennessee versus Ole Miss is one of the most anticipated matchups this weekend, at least offensively. And I'm not going to beat around the bush and pretend like Ole Miss is some powerhouse defense, right? They've struggled, to be kind about it. So I want to talk about what Hendon Hooker needs to do against the Ole Miss defense, because there's still a recipe for success against Ole Miss's defense and stuff you want to avoid. So let's go on and dive into it. So looking statistically at Ole Miss's defense right now, let me pull it up real quick because I can't remember. I'm not that smart. They've given up 9 passing touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, not a very good ratio, and they are second to last in giving up yards per game through the air at 236. Only one team is worse than them in the SEC. Against Arkansas last week, who has, I think, a different style than Tennessee's offense, but they still spread them out. They get outside the numbers, and they do some similar things. They give up 326 yards passing and 350 yards rushing. So I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for Hendon Hooker to have success against Ole Miss's defense. The one thing you want to avoid is forcing anything. Like any defense or like any quarterback or offense, you don't want to give the other offense an extra possession, especially Ole Miss's offense, because I think it's probably going to be I think it's safe to say it's going to be a decently high-scoring game, right, to put it lightly. So Hendon Hooker, your key takeaways, you're going to be able to run the ball against this Ole Miss defense. You're going to see them usually just have 3. They're usually just going to bring 3 guys, 3 down linemen. They're dropping 8, a lot of cover 3 type stuff, but you'll see some different schemes as far as what they do field side and boundary side. And look, Ole Miss's defense was playing better until they've played Arkansas. So the game against Arkansas is definitely going to kind of skew their stats a bit, but I think it's probably more indicative of who they are compared to the first few games of the year. So key takeaways for Hendon Hooker: run the ball when the opportunity is there. I think that's going to be there. Take the short stuff that's going to be given to you with this kind of cover 3, soft 8-man dropping back look. But then know there's going to be times to take shots deep too. And so when those shots are presented, go ahead and take that shot deep. And I think you're going to see some creative plays off of Hooker's ability to run. I think you're going to see some more passing plays built off those kind of design run plays, right? Just like you saw a touchdown against South Carolina, I think you're going to see some different plays like that where you're going to pretend like he's running and he passes the ball. So we're going to look at Ole Miss's defense against Arkansas, so you can kind of get an idea of what they're going to try to do defensively and what it looks like. And then we're going to look at a few plays of Hendon Hooker against South Carolina, because I think there's 3 examples of the keys he really needs to do against this Ole Miss defense. Before we dive into the film, I just want to encourage all to consider subscribing to the channel. If you like any quarterback-related content, we do a lot of quarterback breakdowns, a lot of SEC quarterbacks, but any big quarterback news or quarterback breakdown we will do. So let's go ahead and dive into the film. So kind of a base look here for Ole Miss. 1 up top safety. Even though they have 1 creeping down here, we'll say 1 up top safety. Corners are in off coverage, very soft coverage. They run a lot of cover 3 type schemes here, and that's what you see here. So third, and third. Only 3 down linemen, and we're going to see Jefferson just take what the defense gives him, take stuff in front, which I think is the recipe for Hendon Hooker as well. Take what the defense gives him, kind of like we talked about last week. Even though they took some shots deep and early and were successful with this Ole Miss defense, they're probably going to drop a little more into soft coverage, but that's what I thought South Carolina would do, and Tennessee exposed them early. So I'm still going with saying let's take what the defense gives you. Whether it's those short screens, you're going to see take it right there, plenty of room, let your receivers get upfield and get up some yards. But whether it's those short screens that we've talked about for Tennessee, just get the ball out quick, take some easy completions, those quick outs they do against this cover 3 defense, and eventually you'll see them creeping up. But starting the game off, I would probably preach take some short passes, take what the defense gives you, especially if they're going to be dropping 8. So here we go to Ole Miss with a 3 high look. This is something that defensive coordinator DJ Durkin does. So they'll go into kind of a weird-looking defense pre-snap, but it's going to end up being exactly what they usually do. Usually like a cover 3, right? Thirds. We can see this exactly what happens here. They take their thirds, and then we got underneath zone here. So they're going to try to force. They're going to try to make Hendon Hooker kind of force it and not be patient, try to take a shot downfield. But this is a great job by Jefferson being patient, letting the play develop, knowing you have time, especially if they only bring 3. You're going to have protection and letting the play develop. Jefferson does that. So if you're a hooker, avoid any mistakes, avoid forcing it downfield, let your guys get open, and boom, let those plays underneath happen, right? Eventually, if you have that much time, they can't cover forever. Now, obviously, they bring pressure. It's a different story. But they drop 8, have that 3 high safety look or cover 3 look. Just be patient if you've got the time and don't force anything. That was a good example of Jefferson not forcing anything. So Tennessee's been on a tear running the ball, and Ole Miss gave it over 300 yards, I think, close to it, on the ground to Arkansas last week. And KJ Jefferson had a lot of rushing yards. I expect Hendon Hooker to have a good game on the ground as well. I think it's a way to attack this defense. 3 down linemen, they drop an 8. A lot of times what you see with this defense, like we talked about before, when they drop 8, they usually have one coverage to boundary side, right? You see him off about 5 yards, and one coverage to field side. You see kind of like a press man look here. But anyways, here's an example of KJ Jefferson running the ball, having some success. We're going to see bind up blocking here, hits the hole here. Good run by Jefferson, but I think Hendon Hooker will be able to get going in the run game as well. I think you could see some explosive plays from Hooker. But like I said, Tennessee has gotten going in the run game the past few weeks, and I expect Hooker to maybe be the central part of the running game. That could be a way to attack Ole Miss's defense. So when Tennessee gets inside the red zone, mainly into the 10-5-yard line, I think really using Hooker as a central kind of running threat could be ideal. Jefferson had 3 rushing touchdowns against Ole Miss last week, and I think the majority of them came within inside the 5-10-yard line. So we're going to see him go untouched right here. So good blocking, a little pump fake there, right? So they go for it, but their eyes are looking here. They know they're screwed. These guys are straight at the running back, right? They don't even know Jefferson's keeping the ball. You see the hole right here. Jefferson goes in for an easy touchdown. Don't even think he gets touched. Touchdown there. So again, when you get inside the goal line, short yard stuff, using Hooker as the primary running threat, even if you're using some of the running backs as a decoy, if you will, I do think you will see Hooker. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a touchdown or 2 on the ground this weekend. So another goal line play here, but this type of play could be ran short yardage stuff, normal passing downs, whatever it may be. This type of play can be ran. It's a good example of when you get the run game going, what the defense tends to do, and they focus on the run game, right? So fake run here, everyone's coming. KJ, eyes here, boom, touchdown there. So good job by KJ there, but again, the defense eyeing in on the run game. I think once you get that run game going with Hooker, then you have some passes that can open up downfield, like you saw against South Carolina. So I think getting that run game going, you'll see some passes off of that run game. So I know I've preached taking what the defense gives you, but that doesn't mean I don't think there'll be shots. There'll be opportunities, and there are going to be opportunities. We talked about a lot of times their boundary side coverage is different from their field side coverage. This is a great example here. We got some press man action. Excuse me. A lot of times when you see like the 3 up top safeties, even though there's only 2 here, say this guy's back here like they are a lot of times, the middle safety is trying to play the run. When the run's not there, he drops back into coverage. So we see it's a pass play here. Jefferson takes a deep shot, completes on the ball here. And I do think these opportunities will be there. It's just choosing when to take these shots and choose and letting the defense present the opportunity, right? Don't force it. So good job by Jefferson here. Again, Ole Miss only brings 3. He's going to have plenty of time. He can stand there, chucks it deep, beats him. Not bad coverage, but a good deep ball there. So if Hooker can get some of those going after some of the run game gets going, after some of the short passes get going, then I think they'll really have their way with Ole Miss's defense. This would probably be here even earlier in the game. Arkansas waited towards the end of the game to take these deep shots, but I do think that there'll be several opportunities that Hooker will be able to hook up on a deep shot. So anyone that watched our Hendon Hooker breakdown against South Carolina will remember kind of us talking about this play. But I love it because it's building on the run game. I think you can do this against Ole Miss. It's a different defense than what you see against Ole Miss, the South Carolina defense, but I think the principle remains the same. Get the run game going and build on top of the run game. So we see this fake run here. Hooker stops. There's a deep post here. Like anyone that watched the video we did on Hooker in South Carolina, we talked about the safety knows it's coming. He knows it's coming, right? But if you get that run game going, and then you can build on top of the pass game, and I do think there will be some opportunities to take shots downfield. But I do think it doesn't have to be deep shots, though. I think you're going to see Arkansas was able to build on top of the run game some creative plays. I think some creative plays built on top of Hooker's potential to run are going to be there against Ole Miss's defense. So underneath throws, I think are going to be there probably throughout the whole game, but I think that's you take them early, whether it's with screen passes or passes like this. Is just a little out here. They end up scoring on this play. It's a 3rd and 7. But I think these plays are going to be here against Ole Miss's defense, especially that cover 3 look they have. They bring South Carolina brings 5. They bring more pressure than Ole Miss does. Look, this is just like a 3-yard pass, and then he turns it upfield. I think there'll be some opportunities for yards after the catch. But as far as just simple passing goes, I think these type of plays are going to be here. I think you take these plays until the corners creep up, and then I think that's when I think you take your deep shots. But yeah, if they're going to give you those yards, drop an 8, take that all day. So here's Hooker just on a QB read. Looks like probably just a straight QB keeper because you got guys coming across. Regardless, though, I think this will be there against Ole Miss's defense. Like we broke down against Ole Miss's defense against KJ in Arkansas. This is going to be there, right? Get upfield, eyes downfield, get upfield, and I think Hooker's probably a little bit more of a dynamic athlete than KJ. You know, KJ's a great athlete. Hooker's probably got a bit more speed, so you could see maybe a long run or two be broken against this Ole Miss defense here. But I definitely think Hooker running the ball is going to be something we see a decent amount of against Ole Miss. So again, this defense is going to be dropping 8 a lot, unless they change completely. And look, they could, right? I'm just going off what they've done the past few weeks. But most likely they'll be dropping 8, try to force the quarterback to make a bad decision downfield. Just if you stay away from forcing it when it's not there, Tennessee should be able to go blow for blow with Ole Miss this week. So again, Hendon Hooker, I think getting him going in the run game, I think building some passes on top of that run game and taking shots whenever they present themselves, and then taking what the defense gives you, getting those just short out routes, those screen routes we talked about. Getting that going against this Ole Miss defense can be something that they can explore as well. But I want to hear from you. What do you think Hendon Hooker needs to do against the Ole Miss defense? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you next time on the next quarterback-related video.